This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 505.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology. The technology.
Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events, we have two next weekend. WordCamp San Jose in Costa Rica, not the San Jose in California. That's November 4th and 5th. Also WordCamp Madrid in Spain, also November 4th and 5th, same 2 days. So there you go. If you're in those areas of the world, by all means, you should go. All right, moving on, segment one in the news. Two things to talk about here. First and foremost, Automattic has acquired Texts. It's the all-in-one messaging platform. They bought it for $50 million. It's a newer company founded back in 2020, uses a centralized inbox for all the major messaging platforms, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, Twitter, LinkedIn, Slack, Discord, iMessage as well. So there'll be a link in the show notes if you want to read the press release as well. Also in the news, kind of an event-related thing, but Elementor postponed their DreamWeb event. Apparently it was supposed to happen on November 2nd in Berlin, but has been postponed due to the circumstances following the terrorist attack in Israel back on October 7th. So if you were planning on going to that, you might want to check out and check to see about changing your plans. It's not going to happen. Okay. Is that it in the news? Yeah, that is it in the news. All right, moving on. Segment two, meat potatoes of this week's episode. This week, actually, I have an interview for you. I got to sit down and talk with my friend Kurt Von Ahnen. He's a great guy. He just recently moved from West Coast to middle of the country of the U.S. Anyway, take a listen, and we'll come back after that and talk about the tip and tool of the week. All right, here he is. Today, I am joined by Kurt Von Ahnen. Kurt likes to peel back the BS through effective communication and leadership consulting, in addition to full-service WordPress hosting and development through Mañana No Mas and other things as well. We'll talk about that a little bit here. Welcome to the podcast, Kurt. Let me put your audio on here. I'm like, okay, now you're on. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Adam, thanks for having me, man. This is great.
So as I always start interviews with people on the podcast of how I might know the guest, in this case, I know how I know you, but you probably don't. And I'm going to tell you, just so you maybe see if you have a different memory of it. But I know you from this. I heard you being interviewed actually on the Lifter LMS podcast with Chris Badgett way back. And since I've been stalking you and, well, not stalking, I mean following you. And then we finally met at WordCamp US in person this year up in DC area. Do you recall any different?
I do recall it different.
Really?
I do. You may have seen or heard the interview with Chris. I'll give you that one.
Okay.
But we actually met in San Diego at WordCamp US San Diego the year before, and I think it was in the Space Museum.
Okay. Dang it. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I was all happy. And then you were super gregarious, like, and that's the thing that I was absolutely won over by your outgoing nature. And you're just, man, it's obvious that you love everybody. So I was like, I got to stay in touch with this guy. And then you've been such an awesome, loyal fan coming to the lives with Lifter and participating. Yeah. And dude, it's always a thrill to have you around.
And we'll talk about Lifter a little bit here as well in your role there. But yeah, thanks. I totally forgot that we met at San Diego. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, that's why there was that familiarity that there was in Maryland.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. Okay. All right. So for those who don't know you, tell us kind of how you got here into WordPress and where you're at now.
Dude, it's such a weird story because I'm one of those silent majority types in the WordPress world. I didn't even realize it until last year. I had to join a Facebook group, as part of the company thing. And one of the questions was, what's your username and your enrollment year with WordPress? And I didn't think about it, but then I had to look it up. And I joined WordPress in 2004. I've been working with WordPress for 19 years.
Yeah.
And then, and they only had a 20-year anniversary, right? So I'm like, holy crud. But I wasn't part of the community until I met you in San Diego. like I had been working with Lifter LMS and doing some lives and doing some stuff. But dude, I started an agency and had hundreds of websites done without knowing the community, without being connected.
Very common story.
And I look back at it now and I'm like, how big would Mañana No Mas be if I would have connected 3 years in, 4 years in, and had the power of connection that I have now? I'm blown away at just that missed opportunity, you know? So I try and share it wherever I can.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I did WordPress work for about 2.5, 3 years before I knew anything about the community and WordCamps and same thing. But I can tell you from experience, and we're about the same age, you know, you can't kick yourself for what you didn't do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What was missed? Yeah, of course, it was a missed opportunity, but you didn't know any better, really. You know, so you gotta, you know, give yourself grace there. But anyway, so yeah, and also from a statistical standpoint, more people use WordPress than will ever attend a WordCamp or be part of the community.
Yeah,
and they use it solely as a platform, and they don't know anything about it. It's a business tool to them. That's it.
And that was exactly my perspective. It was like, oh, it's this cool tool. You know, I don't know why it's free. You know, and you just start plugging things into it, and it magically works. And then to be able to build a business off of that, you know, I do wonder. You know, I got hired away from my agency. I got hired away from myself in 2013, and I went corporate and did the training management thing at Ducati. And I worked with Ducati for a total of maybe 10 years between being a contractor and an employee. And then I left there and went to Suzuki for like 4 years and then went back to the agency full time. And then that's where I really embraced like if I'm going to do it serious now, like how am I going to launch this into a real full service agency with all the tools and, you know, using subcontractors and then hopefully adding real staff.
Right.
And that's kind of the cool challenge looking forward.
And so what does your day-to-day look like now?
Dude, the day-to-day is, and this is going to sound so bad to some other people. When I just moved from California to Kansas, and I am trending the hashtag escaping California.
I've seen it.
It is, the lifestyle's completely different. So in California, I had to take every meeting, exhaust every opportunity, you know, follow everything through because the finances out there are such that you don't have the freedom to kind of like be willy-nilly about things. And then, you know, we got Kansas, we've been here for 6 weeks and it's already like, I'm able to time block things. So I'm able to say, okay, from here to here, I'm going to go to the gym. From here to here, I'm going to do work. From here to here, I'm going to take new meetings. From here to here, I'm going to do my contract work with WP Tonic and Lifter LMS. You know, from here to here, I'm going to work with the Marine Retailers Association. And then, you know, 3-4 days out of the week, I can say, you know what, there's an extra time block. I can actually go for a bike ride guilt-free. And so when someone says, what's your day-to-day look like? It's a whole new experience since escaping California and getting into an economic environment that allows you to live your life.
Right. Well, I mean, I can tell you, I mean, I left California also. We got here in North Carolina 7 years ago, coming up on 6 to 7 years ago, whatever it was. And I know that there's no way. I mean, yeah, it's been 7 years since I launched the business, Concierge full time. I've been doing WordPress stuff since 2008, 2009. So after you started, but I know that, you know, because I left another job that, you know, I had for a bit in marketing, that had I not moved across the country, I would not have just celebrated 7 years of the agency full time. There's just no way, just the financials, because California is so expensive. People don't realize that sometimes. And then the business changes up and down. But, you know, now we both, I mean, I've already had the experience that, you know, I can say no to projects, and I do, you know. So
if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit.
Right.
And, you know, part of the Mañana No Mas mantra is we always stay on time. We always stay on budget. If I screw up in the discovery process, that's my screw up.
Right.
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 If the customer changes something, obviously the customer changes something.
Right.
But, you know, we don't go past deadlines and we don't go over budget. And so for me, you know, having to look at a customer and seeing if it's the right fit or not, you have to say, okay, is this person vested in their own success? Are they going to do the homework it takes to be a winning member of the team? You know, and are they giving me something that, you know, I could put on my own website as a testimonial or as a portfolio piece?
Right.
And if the answers aren't positive, you know, now I'm in a position to say, hey, I'm sorry, but I don't think Mañana No Mas is the right fit for you. let's see if we can't find you, a more entry level provider at this time.
Right. And real quick, speaking of Mañana no Mas, 2 questions on that. Why that name? And what's your primary focus in your own agency these days? Are you biz dev, developer, designer?
Yeah, I'm real honest with folks. I'm not a developer. I'm not like I'm a plug and play problem solving kind of guy. And if something comes up where it needs a custom tweak, I'm going to hire out for that. I'm just not. And I'm old. So it's like, do I want to develop that skill? No, I don't. It's not in my wheelhouse. So there's that. The Mañana no Mas name is actually, it's a fun story. So I used to be called Von Ahnen Designs and PR. And I thought that made, a wonderful signature and made a cool sign and sounded cool and upscale. And then it hit me. I was working at the South Valley Economic Development Center out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we were having a lot of conversations back then about, are you growing a business or are you creating a job? Are you creating a business or are you creating a job? And I was like, well, wait a minute. If I'm creating a business, that implies that it's an asset that could be sold. Do I want to sell my name to somebody else? And that became like a real thought to me. I'm like, someday down the road, this might grow into something and I might want to have an exit plan. And what would that look like to sell my name to somebody? That's just kind of weird. And so I was kind of open to the idea of changing my name. And I had a ton of clients from the development center, all new startups. And I would meet with people and I'd say, okay, I'm going to start building out your site and we'll meet again in 2 weeks. You need to bring me your logo and colors and like some text for the About Me page, simple stuff. They would never do their homework, Adam. They would never do their homework.
Right.
And one day I'm meeting at the Economic Development Center. I'm in the big conference room and I got clients in there that came back to, and I said, here's what we've done. We've got your hosting account reserved. We've got, this built, that built, the other thing built. Now we need to plug in your corporate identity and your copy. And, oh, we don't have it. We called a guy, but he didn't call us back, like all these weird excuses. And I finally lost it one day. And I was like, if you're not vested in your own success, I can't make you successful. This is not a magic button. Like, it's your business. It's not my business. It's your business. And if you don't care about your business, I can't make it successful for you. Mañana no mas. You cannot put off till tomorrow what you can do today. And mind you, 90% of my clients were Hispanic. This was the Hispanic part of Albuquerque I was working in.
Gotcha.
And so Tony, the guy that ran the center, he's like, leans out and he goes, hey, Kurt, that would be a good name for your business.
That's awesome.
That was it, man. 2 days later, we had the name reserved. My wife was mortified. She was like, we're going to get run out of town, cultural appropriation. We changed a bunch of rules. It was no more payments. Everybody pays up front. I don't split things up. I don't do deposits and final payment. This is how much it costs. Pay up front. I don't do any work until you pay. And if you don't do your homework, I'll throw you out of the program and we'll just move on to the next customer that's ready to go. And people said, there's no way, you will go out of business. And the odd thing is, Adam, is that year we tripled our business, and that was an indicator to me as a growing entrepreneur that you need to establish boundaries, you need to set expectations, you need to follow through with people and have a reputation for being, no monkey business kind of guy. Even though I'm a fun guy. I have a sense of humor and everything.
I don't know, Kurt. I don't know. Yeah.
But it's you have to have your mind on business and what are the receivables. And to the cultural appropriation thing, the weirdest thing happened. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce reached out and said, we love your program. We love the name. We'd love to have you come speak at the organization. And I was like, okay, we got nothing to worry about. And now it's 15 years later and the name stuck and it's branded all over the internet. I couldn't change it now if I wanted to.
Right. Makes sense. So your day-to-day varies, obviously. You're in Kansas. You also, obviously at this point you mentioned Lifter LMS, and by chance I'm wearing the sweatshirt today. It's not a sponsored episode by any chance, by the way. You do some work with them as well, some creative and marketing. You're online all the time, you and Will. I'm curious though, because of where we are post-pandemic, what's your take these days? Everything went online during pandemic, back in 2020, 2021. We're now 2023, the end of October just about here. What's your take? What do you see as far as the state of online courses post-pandemic?
To be honest, Adam, I'm kind of in shock and surprised that we haven't yet seen the potential I believe there is. And to say that, here's what I mean. and maybe it's my corporate experience that's speaking right now. Maybe it's the working with the behemoths, of industry that are super, super slow to ever turn a ship. They're very slow to make decisions and very slow for change. Like I proposed to Suzuki, and this is no secret, I proposed to Suzuki, hey, we could update the online learning and really take this to another level.
Right.
And they looked at me with a straight face and said, we're not ready for that kind of change yet. And when I look at the budget that they were spending versus what I was proposing, I was like, you're not ready to save hundreds of thousands of dollars starting today? Like, it's just a weird question.
Right.
So there's so many opportunities that haven't been peeled back yet, that haven't come to fruition from the pandemic. I think a lot of corporate space is available and ripe for the picking, because a lot of them are still doing the work from home. They've tried to do that back to office thing and it backfired.
Right.
They offer positions that they say are remote. And then the first step to starting this new job is, well, we're going to fly you into the main office for a week of onboarding and meeting with HR and this, that, and the other. Well, the first step to onboarding someone for a remote position should not be hop on an airplane and come to the office. So I think there's a ton of growth opportunity in continuing education credits is one platform. Very specific niche stuff. Like me and Chris Badgett have had a lot of conversations about the medical field or the dental field or things like that for continuing education. But I also feel like this whole corporate onboarding thing is just a whole nother envelope that can be kind of unpacked and optimized.
Right. Interesting.
So I think there's still
I have a good friend whose wife is a pharmacist, and they do some CLE coursework as well. They use a different platform. They use WordPress, but a different platform, just because there's plenty of different options out there. There's no right or wrong, just a matter of kind of whatever works for you.
Hundreds. I know a ton that are using Google Docs and Forms.
Sure. It's
there's 9 different ways to skin it.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I forgot about the CLAs, but also just the onboarding process. It's just an interesting take on things these days. I see a lot of people want the course. They want that monthly reoccurring. They want that, quote, passive income. But I think it's almost a fallacy that it happens how it happens. I think it takes time to build that up.
I have projects, Adam, that have just sat, and I embrace my failures. I do. It's I've got one right now that's an expensive failure. It's in the power sports industry. I still promote it.
Right.
I'm viciously promoting it right now for Outrageous October on the Power Sport Academy. But the truth of the matter is I've got hundreds and hundreds of hours of development into the project. I've got marketing time and dollars spent on it, and it doesn't have enough clients to even reimburse the initial investment yet. And we're on our 4th year.
Yeah.
So now if you were to take that project and say, okay, you didn't build it yourself, you hired Kurt to do it for you. Well, this would be a way upside down project.
Right.
And I've had to do a lot of examination in this, Adam, because I made the project. I did it. I'm supposed to be the expert. And I actually branded the thing all for the wrong audience when I first launched. I went after the wrong people.
Right.
And then I was like, a year in, I'm like, well, now I got to change it because I was actually going after the wrong customers. And the problem was confidence in the industry. It's something I'm really familiar with. And so my familiarity actually broke my own process. And so as a business consultant working with other people in this industry with the course creation, it's helped me to, embrace the failure, as John Maxwell would say, fail forward, right? And take that experience and help other people not make that mistake. So now I consult with people before I make the projects to expose who's your target customer, what is your product? No, really, what is your product?
Right.
How do we best demonstrate that? How do we message that? How do you promote that? And then how do you track what's working, what isn't, and change direction when you need to?
Right. How many ideas a week, new ideas a week do you think you have?
Oh God, dude. I
think we're a lot alike.
People tease me because I have this adult ADD outward impression, but I don't take medication or chase a diagnosis. I just take it and go, maybe this is my gift. I don't know. I'm constantly, something's always happening, and I jot things down. I have one of those Remarkable 2 tablets, and I have a whole section.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Okay.
It's been a game changer for me.
Interesting. I'm going to buy one. Okay.
But I have a section in it where if I wake up with an idea or I'm talking to somebody and I have a concept, I literally just write down a sentence in this one quick notes thing. And it's like, and now I have the sense to not jump online, buy a URL and hosting right away.
Right.
Now I let that sentence sit there for 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. And if I'm still excited about it 2 or 3 months in, then I go, okay, let's take another look at this.
The problem with that, I agree with you. I mean, people know me as well, that I have a problem sometimes. I used to have a problem buying domains because of willy-nilly shiny new object. And I now have learned not to tell my wife about any of them until the site behind it is live and producing money, because to her it's a distraction. And it 100% is. That said, again, COVID, post-COVID, I built a new site way back and I was going to launch it to take over the agency. It's called backupspeaker.com. Launched it March 2020. Terrible time to launch something new that had to do with public speaking. It's still up, but it's like I'm still underwater on that because I hired it out, my own project. As far as domains, my new rule is actually simple. If I buy a domain, if I don't use it within the first year, I let it go.
There you go.
Simple as that. And so I'm down to, I used to be in the 80s, 90s of domains. Now I'm down to like sub 30. It just is what it is. The most recent one, I think I've told you, about it, is I was actually out for a run, listening to a podcast about running, very meta. And I had the idea and I waited 4 hours to see how would I use it. I also, before I buy it, I want to see how am I going to use it? What's the process here? What do I want to do with it? So I bought and I use sillylittlegoals.com.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite things. I mean, I'm really pushing that as far as to help people get an easy win for the week, take them back through adamsilver.com, all that kind of stuff, the coaching. But you're right. I mean, having the ideas is half the battle. Knowing where to focus the energy, and can you make a living? Because we all have to make a living as well, So it's that balance in running a business, and that's what it is. It's a business. So
yeah. I have a guy that is kind of like I don't want to call him a mentor. He's like a peer. He runs a digital networking organization, and I'm part of that, and I'm on a board with them. But Tim is a wonderful, wonderful human being, but he has no patience for my lack of focus. And so he would call me and he would say, Kurt, I have people I want to refer to you, but I don't even know what you're going to do with them. Like I don't even know where your focus is right now. And I'm like, well, I'm doing some leadership public speaking, or I'm doing some business consulting to help with efficiency and productivity. And then I would say, well, I'm building this WordPress agency. But what other people don't recognize, and I'm sure that you would kind of get this arrows in the quiver concept, is, to me, all those arrows fit in that quiver and they all work together.
Right.
Like, I can't build a successful WordPress project for a corporation without consulting with them first to understand their business, their efficiencies, and what makes them productive. Right. And then leadership and all that study that I've done in leadership and training and coaching, that all goes into that. If I go into a business and I'm consulting with them and I'm examining them for a potential WordPress project, there's a lot of times where I come up and I go, hey, you're really weak, in the leadership of these 3 departments.
Right.
I have a leadership program if you want to leverage that. And then sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And it might seem scattered to other folks, but it all focuses on helping other businesses grow and become profitable.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. I want to be courteous of your time because I know you have another call coming up. 2 questions, 2 more things really. One last one is, you're also somewhat like me. You're outdoorsy. You like to get out and away from the keyboard. So you spend time outside doing what? Mountain bikes or motorcycles?
Yes.
Why those 2?
Anything with 2 wheels makes me extremely happy. I get giddy. I'm like a child. Someone once gave me a pit bike to ride around a parking lot, and it was a piece of junk. It was a real piece of junk. But I went and did some slalom, bunny hopped it over a curb, and rode a wheelie back up to the door that he was at. And he stops, and it's a grown man, and he's looking at me, and he goes, "Just look at you. You're smiling from ear to ear. You're like a child." I
love go-karts. Always have, always will, and water slides. But now running. So yeah, it's my thing. It's my outdoor stuff. So.
Yeah, the bicycling is a resurgence in my old age because I got really fat and then I had to lose a bunch of weight, and I like red meat and beer and wine. And if I want to enjoy those things, I have to exercise to keep the weight off. Right. So I road bike and I mountain bike quite a bit.
Cool. Cool. Right on. Last question for you. Well, second to last. 3 tools. People like to know what tools you use to run your business, your life. What are your 3 favorite tools that you like to you want to share?
2 are kind of related. So I started journaling about 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago. I actually got a kit from Dan Martell, the guy with the SAS University.
Yeah.
And in that kit, he sent a journal. And I thought, I hate journaling. I'm not going to do it. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to participate in his course, his class, his challenge. So I'll try it.
Okay.
And it was a game changer for me because maybe it's the adult ADD thing, but even though I keep, we all have our schedules in these things.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I open it up and I put my schedule down, and then I use so I have a planner journal, and I'm able to reflect and say, what am I thankful for today? Mm-hmm. What's important to me today? And what difference am I going to make today? And don't forget family. That's like my thing is like, right. I can get sucked into work so much that I forget my family, and they're the most important thing. So I got to kind of like make sure I don't forget them. And then at the end of the day, I journal about it. What was successful? Mm-hmm. What did I do? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So that was kind of a game changer for me. And then the next game changer was 2 years later, I had a stack of books, a stack of journals that I filled out, but I never went back to them. They were just a stack of journals, and they're not searchable.
Right.
And so I got the Remarkable 2 tablet, and I take notes from every meeting I have, every network meeting I have. I take those. Hold on. Sorry about that. There we go. And I take the notes, everything's in there, and everything is searchable. Mm-hmm. And so then I made a digital planner, which I give away on my book's website, but I give away this digital planner. And because it's digital, it's all in the Remarkable 2, and it's completely tabbed and searchable. Okay. So now if I have a conversation with you in March, right? But I forget when it was or what we discussed. Like I go, oh, we talked to Adam about that, but I can't remember the details. I can literally just go search Adam. Boom.
Yeah.
And there it is. And I'm not going through stacks of books.
Right.
So that's it. And then the next thing is, I'm going to give Slack the high 5 kudos because of its ubiquitous use nature, but I'm also going to tell you that it's my nemesis.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I just got accepted into post status yesterday, and I'm like, I saw your name in there, so I'm dropping their name now too. But and I thought to myself as I was signing in, do I really want to add another channel to my Slack?
Right.
And then I was like, everybody's in there. Yeah. Like it's ubiquitous in its nature, but it's for some reason the way that it's laid out does not align with the way my brain works.
Right. Yeah. Where can people find you if they want to follow up with you?
Dude, I'm the only Kurt Von Ahnen on LinkedIn. Okay. I say that all the time because it's easy to find me there and it's easy to make a connection.
Cool.
So when I connect with people on LinkedIn, it generally ends up in a quick Zoom call just to get to know folks. Mm-hmm. It's a sales-free experience, but if I don't know who you are, how can I refer people to you?
Right.
That's the way I look at it. And then Mañana no Mas. Okay. And it's anything that you find online that's Mañana no Mas generally leads back to me.
Cool. We'll link to those in the show notes as well. So want to thanks for the chat. It's great seeing you on Zoom. And of course, now knowing that I've met you twice in person, that's new to me. It's awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Again, thanks to Kurt for taking the time. Always good talking to him. We actually spoke for like another 20 minutes after that, just about all things and life and whatnot. And yeah, just crazy. It's a weird world out there, that's for sure. Anyway, all right. Moving on, segment 3, tip and tool of the week. Pretty easy. Texts.com. Check it out. It's a pretty neat service. I checked it out. I had the access to the beta, and there's a waiting list now, and then you can also pay for it as well. So it's over at texts.com. So check that out if you have a chance. That's the tip and tool of the week. All right, wrapping it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use that speak pipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, I would be so appreciative if you became a Patreon, kitchensinkwp.com/Patreon. If you want to sponsor the show, you can do that. There's a form on the website. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right, bye-bye.